Welcome to another episode of last week's Comics Today. It's a decent-sized week. These actually came out this week. It's not a catch-up video. But let's get straight into this, and it was a powerhouse week of books. So we're going to start with this, and it is a lie. It's not the cover this time, it's the title. Dark Knights of Steel, Tales from the Three Kingdoms, except this is three tales from one kingdom. I don't know why they settled on that title. I don't, to my knowledge, this is a one-shot. I don't think there's a mini-series, but the main series is on hiatus. They put this out, and so there are three stories, as I said. We basically get Kal-El, Bruce, and Zara? Is it Zara? Can't remember her name now. But these three are in the first story. We get Cal and Bruce in the second story with Harley, and the third one is Bruce and I gotta show you this, but a medieval Bane I think is awesome. So this I think is fun. Dress up. But also an example of the art, and then the third story. Get a medieval Bane, and he looks badass. Big fan of that. It gives a bit of color, some history to the history of this world. If you've been reading the main title, then grab this if you want to spend $6. Otherwise, I don't think it's a showstopper. There's no huge revelations in here that you're gonna miss if you do skip it. And this is not a good place to start, I don't think, if you want to get into the main title. The main title had a great first issue, just pick that up. Twig, I'm going to spoil this right from the beginning. The book ends with this, so this is fantastic. And things surprisingly did wrap up. This is issue 5. I was never sure how the amount of story that I expected was going to fit into only 5 issues, but it does, and it does it amazingly well. This is, you know, what's weird too is, so Twig is a story of, I don't know if I've really explained this in any of the 4 previous videos, but Twig is a story of this character here, Twig, who is, he's on an adventure to craft an item so that somebody else can use that item in their quest. So it's a quest before somebody else's quest, which, okay, fine. I'm into it, I dig it, but the quest he is trying to complete is supposed to be the last quest, and so the fact that Twig is returning has me curious, but as long as it's also Kyle Strom on art, I will absolutely be getting additional Twig whenever that comes out. It, great read, just incredible. If you did miss the series, then I recommend grabbing the trade. I'm sure one will be out in a few months, and if you're at all interested, pick up the upcoming series probably next year. Does it give a date? I don't think it gives a date. No, there's no date. Probably next year. But it's great. Poison Ivy issue 4. Basically, in this issue, Poison Ivy gets a job. She meets someone, she gets a job, and she tries very hard not to be bad. So the overall story of this book so far is Poison Ivy is dying, and she is infecting everyone that she comes across, everyone that she possibly can, with a flora-based fungi, and they die horribly. And there are plenty of hallucinations that come along with her slowly dying. This was originally a 6-issue series, so this storyline should wrap up in 2 more issues, but it is getting another arc. I don't know if it's become an ongoing or if it's like a Swamp Thing situation where they just said, okay, you can do another arc and we'll see how things go. But this is great. Issue 7 I read is going to have a different artist, so I will see if I continue, but I'm a huge fan of this writing and art combination. I mean, look at this. This is incredible. I very much like where this is going. I don't know if it's a good turn for Ivy. I like Ivy. And I would prefer if she were the border between, sort of like Harley herself, walk that line between hero and villain. And this, she's just straight up trying to kill as many people as she can. She is dying, she is infecting, as I said, as many people as she can with fungi. And while a great book, as I said, I don't know if it's a development for Ivy that I like, but I want to see how this ends. Certainly, if she doesn't die, if the book becomes an ongoing, then she doesn't die, I guess. But we'll see how this turns out, I guess, with issue 6, and see how this wraps up. I am hopeful that things work out well, and I don't know that they will. It seems very purposeful, the way that she's going about doing what she's doing. And I don't know if there's a way to redeem her from this. Once a Future 29, 28 ended on a cliffhanger, as many of these do, and it was amazing, and this picks things up, and 29 issues in, I'm incredibly grateful that this book continues to surprise me. It's wonderful. There is only one issue left in the series, so you're only going to hear me rave about this probably 2 more times, because I'm going to mention it when issue 30 comes out, and then there's going to be the oversized hardcover that I wind up getting as well. So 2 more times you're going to hear me rave about how great this book is. I hope someone else is reading this. I'm having an absolute blast. There's this, if you want an example of the art, and there's a particular panel in here. I don't know if I could show it without spoiling, but let me see if I can find it. This isn't the one that I was thinking of, but these are 2 good examples. This is a King Arthur, even though he looks like Skeletor, and it wasn't until this issue, so 29 issues in, that I realized, hey, he kind of looks like Skeletor. This book is phenomenal. Highly recommended. As I said, there's only 1 issue left. If you're not reading this, I think you should be. Batman 127. I'm going to spoil a bunch of what happens in 125 and 126, so if you don't want to hear any of that, skip to the next chapter. It's Antioch, which is great, but skip to the next chapter. 126 ends with the appearance of a character that I thought was probably not going to show up again. Taking a step back for a moment. In issue 125, we have the death of Penguin. He frames Batman in the process. He has been dying for a while. Frames Batman. And at the end of the issue, there's a robot that emerges called Failsafe. Issue 126 is the Bat Family versus Failsafe. He is very strong. He's a Mesotech, I think I mentioned in the previous video. And at the end of that issue is the emergence of Zur-En-Arr. The emergence of Zur-En-Arr Batman. And I kind of like this costume with extra purple. I definitely like this torso. It has red in the front, dark on the side, and Zur-En-Arr. There are a few shots in here, so he's got, I don't know, some kind of shoulder pad things going on now. He's got, there's a couple of scenes where it looks like they're fighting with lightsabers, and I don't fully know what's happening, but whatever. The art is incredible. The writing is top-notch. I'm loving this book. More lightsabers. But this explains why Zurinar is back, who made Failsafe, what's going on with Failsafe. This book is incredible. Highly, highly recommended. Antioch, issue 1. So this is a continuation of Frontiersman. Frontiersman is a fantastic series. It's the beginning of a sort of shared universe, at least with this creative team. And I was a huge fan of that. I don't know if Frontiersman was billed as an ongoing, and I don't know if it's an ongoing in the sense of Frontiersman itself will continue, or just that the universe that they created will continue. That's the ongoing? I don't know. But this is a continuation of Frontiersman. So there's a, I believe, 6-issue miniseries, and then there's a lockup special where he winds up going to jail. As I said, this is a continuation, and we have a new lead character. However, Frontiersman is still in it. So he is here. He's in prison. And this is fantastic. So this guy, Antioch, he's a bit of Namor-ish. The first thing we see him do is take down an oil rig. That's this scene here. And then later in the book, he takes on a logging operation. But as I said, Frontiersman is still in this, and Antioch is sending himself to jail to meet up with Frontiersman. I don't know where it's going, but this creative team, whatever they're doing in this universe, I'm loving it. And I showed off this at the back. I do recommend reading this as well. It gives... It's not only really well written, but it talks about where the creative team is coming from, their intentions, their plans, not in specifics, but, you know, as far as plans go. But I recommend reading that as well. If you're interested in this book, absolutely get it. What I only just realized is that this creative team also did Patience, Conviction, Revenge, which came out from, I want to say, Aftershock, and if I'm wrong, I'll fix it below. But Patience, Conviction, Revenge is a miniseries that came out a couple of years ago, and it's fantastic. It's kind of about robots, I'll say, but that is already collected. It's available, and I recommend that as well. Boogyman was a last-minute ad for me. I saw, I believe it was an ad in the November solicits for issue 3 or 4 of this, and I was a big fan of the art. I don't remember if I saw a preview for it, but I wanted to get this and see what it was like. This is from ABLAZE. They have mostly, in my experience, been doing the non-Conan stuff, so they can't legally use the name Conan here in the States, so they've just been calling it the Sumerian, and that is a very mixed bag. I got a couple of the early issues of that, and it seemed like translation issues were rampant, but the art was nice. Anyway, ABLAZE, Boogyman. This is it's a story about a kid, and there are multiple boogeymen running around, and it's sort of Boogeyman versus Boogeyman, possibly a 3-way, but we get this giant dog in the opening, and things get weird from there. This is probably horror, but it's not yet horror, so it's sort of horror tangent. Nothing terrible has happened yet. Well, that's not true. Something terrible definitely happened in this. But it's not shocking. I don't think it's gory. It's not egregious. It's a kid, and he tries to befriend a boogeyman while other boogeymen are trying to get to the kid and the kid's family. It's a very interesting setup. I'm interested to see where this goes. I have added this to my pull list So I believe it's a miniseries. I think most things are nowadays outside of the big two, but I really want to see where this goes. Lastly, there is a new Hellboy hardcover. This is the collection for the Silver Lantern Club, which was a miniseries that came out, I don't know, months ago. I usually wait, as far as Hellboy goes, for the collections so that I can read things in one sitting, and they go on my shelf. I wind up keeping all of this stuff. There's never a question about whether or not I want to keep it or get rid of it, like so many other of the comics in this room, so I just wait for the trade. Goes on the shelf. I have not finished reading this yet, so I can only talk about the first issue, which has an interesting framing device. So it is Hellboy and the professor meeting the professor's uncle. So we have older gentleman, and it is his past adventures. There is a sequence with Edward Gray, the Witchfinder. There's also Sarah Jewell. She just had a miniseries, which I did not grab, but maybe now I think I should. I don't know. It's off to a great start. The art is by Chris Mitten. Hopefully you know him. I'm a fan of him. He is a local talent. I've met him at many, many conventions over the years, and I've gotten possibly something signed from him. But this is so far great. I will do a actual review of this once I've actually read it. So that to come. And that is everything that I got this week. It was just a powerhouse. This is the reverse order in which I read them, and it was just one fantastic read after another. Really, Dark Knights of Steel is the only kind of disappointment out of the whole stack. Twig, Poison Ivy, all of these books are just phenomenal reads, but I'm going to give Pick of the Week to Batman, which just continues to surprise me. It is... it's just... it's so good. The one thing that gets me is that Tim was shot in the neck 2 issues ago, and he's running around, like I said, with a seemingly lightsaber, but he's ultimately fine, even though he was just shot in the neck. And we got a band-aid on his neck for 1 issue, and he's fine. And it's just so dumb. But other than that, this book is great. So that is everything that I got this week. As I said, I get all of my books from a local comic shop. If you don't know where yours is, you can use this URL to find the one closest to you. Thanks for watching.